Variation and mutation. Every member of a population possesses unique characteristics that differentiate them from one another. Variation refers to the diversity in the traits and attributes among individuals in a population. Genetic and environmental variation. Variation can be due to the genes that have been inherited, or the environmental causes, or a combination of both. Genetic variation refers to inherited differences between individuals, such as eye color, hair color, and skin tone. In natural selection, genetic variation is essential. Environmental variation refers to differences between individuals that are not inherited, but are solely due to environmental influences. Tattoos and scars are examples of environmental variation. Mutation. A mutation is a spontaneous and continuous change that occurs in the DNA sequence of a gene or chromosome. Mutations can occur naturally and may result in genetic disorders, or even death. A mutation can lead to rapid change in a species if the phenotype is well suited to a particular environment, but it rarely creates a new phenotype. Phenotype is an organism's visible characteristics that occur due to its genes. It is the physical expression of DNA. Selective breeding. The process by which humans breed plants and animals for particular genetic characteristics is called selective breeding. It is also called artificial selection. It involves the careful selection and mating of animals or plants with desirable traits in order to produce offspring with those same desirable traits. For thousands of years, humans have domesticated plants and animals to create food crops using selective breeding, and it involves the following steps. Selection of parents with desired characteristics from a mixed population and breed them together. Selection of offspring with the same characteristics and breed them together. Repeat the process over many generations until all offspring show the desired characteristics. Breeding in plants and animals. The desirable characteristics of selective breeding in plants include disease resistance in food crops, high-yield wheat plants, and striking flowers. The characteristics desirable for selective breeding include high milk or meat production, large eggs, and gentle nature in domestic dogs. Risk factors. The main risk factors of selective breeding. Reduced genetic variation can make certain organisms vulnerable to attack by specific insects or diseases, causing significant damage. In some cases, rare genes associated with positive traits may be inadvertently selected, leading to problems with specific organisms. For example, a high percentage of Dalmatian dogs are deaf due to the selection of certain genes. Certain organisms may experience physical issues due to genetic abnormalities. It can result in inbreeding, causing an increased likelihood of inherited defects or diseases in certain breeds. Inbreeding refers to the process of breeding between individuals or organisms that share a close relationship due to their common ancestry. Genetic engineering. Genetic engineering involves modifying an organism's genome by introducing a foreign gene to produce a desired trait. It is also called genetic modification, GM. The process involves the following steps. Selecting desired characteristics. Cutting out the responsible gene. Transferring and inserting it into another organism. Replicating the modified organism. Genetic engineering involves artificial transfer of genetic information. For example, bacterial cells have been genetically modified to produce human insulin, which is used to treat diabetes. Flounder fish produce a chemical that prevents their blood from freezing in their cold habitat. Scientists insert the antifreeze gene from flounder into tomato DNA to create frost-resistant plants. GM crops. Plant crops can be influenced by genes and environment. The environment influences the leaf size and height of a plant. The size of a fruit depends both on genes and the environment. Resistance to frost is a genetic factor. Plant crops are modified to be resistant to herbicides, make their own pesticides, or be better adapted to environmental conditions. Plants that have been altered through genetic engineering are referred to as genetically modified, GM crops. Benefits: genetic modification allows for faster and more precise trait selection in crops. Also, it improves crop yield and quality. It can overcome some inherited diseases in humans. Crops can be genetically modified to resist herbicides, produce their own pesticides, or adapt better to the environment. Sterile mosquitoes could be created to breed infertile offspring, reducing spread of diseases such as malaria, dengue fever, and Zika virus. To prevent insect and pest damage, plants can be genetically modified to produce toxins that discourage feeding. Risk factors: genetic modification raises ethical concerns and potential health risks associated with genetically modified food. For instance, GM foods may contain substances that trigger allergic reactions in specific individuals, or higher levels of toxins naturally present in the food. Genes from genetically modified, GM, plants and animals can spread to other wildlife, posing a risk to ecosystems.